In this lesson, we're going to learn about the interface around the reports offered in Google Analytics and how to further segment the reports with secondary dimensions. As you see, the interface is similar to the previous report we were working with, but there are some differences. First, you'll notice the metric scorecards. These give you the total or average metrics for the data in the report you are on. So if I change to a different report, say the organic search traffic report, you'll see the metrics change. But not only that, but it will compare them. Visits compare themselves to the overall site visits, so you can see how much the traffic in the report you're on contributes to the site's total traffic, and the rest compare themselves to the site's overall average. But the language report doesn't do that, since it includes all the site's traffic, as do all the reports within the audience reports group. Moving on to the data within the table of this report. You'll notice language on the left, and then 5 metrics shown on the right. Language is a dimension. Dimensions are a way to label visitors, and metrics measure them. Other examples of dimensions are what keywords phrase a visitor typed in a search engine to find your site, what screen resolution or operating system they are using, and what city they are in. But there are loads of different types of dimensions, too many to mention right now. With this language report, you might not be getting all the full picture, as you might not understand how language is tracked. Language in this case is given by the browser language, not by your OS language, or from the country you are in. This might be a good indication for you to know what languages your visitors speak, or where they are from, but we can segment this data even more to get a better picture of who these visitors are. As you can see, number 1 is EN US, American English. And fourth, you've got ENGB, British English. You'd think that everyone with EN US would be in the United States, and everyone with ENGB in the UK. But rather than thinking, let's see if it's true. To find out, we can add a secondary dimension, which allows us to segment the data even further. Let's select the secondary dimension of country. You can find it by clicking on Visitors and then on Country, or you can start to type it in and it will find it for you. We can now see the 2 dimensions, and we can see that more people in the United Kingdom use ENUS than use ENGB. At least for this site anyway. This will be because most people will just download to their default browser rather than bothering going to find one that's localized for their exact language. If you want to add a dimension to view over time, you can do so by plotting the rows by clicking the checkbox next to the dimension you want, then clicking on Plot Rows. This will allow you to view this dimension on the data over time graph. You can add up to 6 dimensions and even add secondary metrics, but as you see, it gets very complicated. You can view this data in several different ways. Currently, we are using the data table view, but there are a few other ways to see your data. First, we'll head over to the percentage view, which shows you a dimension's contribution to the total. But what does that mean? So as you can see here, we are looking at visits. The source, Google/organic, provided 123 visits. The total number of visits is 610, so it contributed 20.16% to the total, and it is visualized here. We can also change this to show other metrics, such as total visit duration, and it shows what it contributes to the entire visit duration, which is 13 hours and 40 minutes. The visitors from Google/organic contributed 21% to that total time. If you've got multiple rows of data, this isn't the best way to visualize it. For a better way, we'll go to Performance View, which essentially does the same thing and works in the same way, but is suitable for more dimensions. But how does our dimensions metrics compare to the average of the site? For that, we've got Comparison View. It compares the metric you've selected to the average of the site and gives you a percentage difference. You can see that Google/organic provides 787% more traffic than other sources. But it's more useful when used with other metrics. such as average visit duration. So you can see which dimensions provide the visitors who spend longer on the site than average. If you want to visualize your data in a more pretty way, you can use the term cloud. The bigger and bolder the term, the higher it contributes to the metric selected. To be honest, it's probably the least useful report. The view where you can get most in depth is the pivot table view. What we can do here as an example is see the metric separated by countries from different dimensions, in this case sources/mediums. So we'll set up the pivot metrics to be visits and bounce rate, and pivot by country. We still have the totals, as we do in the table report, but then we've got it segmented even further by showing visitor metrics from different countries. With this view, you can get really in depth, and I suggest you play around with the dimensions and maybe add a secondary dimension to see what you can do with this view.